Hi Jack, how are you?
Hola, hey, you're outside too.
Yeah, I'm outside too. I have to escape from my office.
It looks cold. It's cold here.
Yeah, it's really cold actually.
Oh,
I'm just healing because I got the flu last week.
oh yeah, I got COVID for the first time a couple weeks ago.
Oh, how was it for you?
Not terrible. I get the vaccine, so it could have been worse.
Totally. Well, Jack, thank you very much for taking my call today. I do want to take this moment to talk with you about. Well, you've been in death metal for so many years. You may have a lot of stories you want to share with me, but the first one that I do want to know is that, well, you joined Six Feet Under back in 2017, and I do want to know how was it for you to reunite with Chris after so many years to create new music, to tour once again? How was it for you?
Very cool. I had been in touch with Chris over the years since we were both out of Cannibal, since the 90s. So after I left DSI, he had an opening in the band, and I was already in touch with him. So I asked him if he needed anybody, and it was very easy. Just join, and everybody gets along. I'd say it's the easiest band to get along with that I've been in. Everybody's very friendly and no problems.
Oh, that's so good to know.
Yeah.
And you said something that I did want to know. Why did you leave the side?
Oh, it was just like writing disputes. It was hard to squeeze anything into DSide as far as writing. So if I submitted things to them, it was kind of like they would change it, and just wasn't like the concept that I had for a song that I wrote. So I pretty much just walked out one day when I had enough.
Well, if your artistic ideas clash with everybody else, what can you do, right?
Yeah, yeah. I tried to write stuff that was like early DSI, but that's hard. It's kind of a Slayer vibe, but maybe a little more heavy. So yeah, I had trouble vibing, I guess, writing wise.
And that's something that I find very interesting because yes, these old school bands like this side has changed a little bit their formula from what they did on the early years. Um, well, I do want to know, how do you feel about this evolution that death metal has taken from the late 80s, early 90s to this day, where you see bands like, for example, Blood Incantation that use progressive rock melodies now on death metal?
Yeah, Blood Incantation and Revocation, they are the bands that are kind of taking it to another level of like progression and technicality. It's kind of how I knew it would evolve. Christian was the same way. It was like pretty soon we're gonna have Ingve Malmsteen on guitars and a blasting drummer, which is pretty much Christian. So and the production values have changed. I don't know if it's better. I mean, it sounds better, but you know that early production from the late '80s and '90s is still classic. Like the first couple DSI, that Morris sound that everybody got away from. But you know, everything sounds good.
You mentioned how you thought that that was going to be the natural evolution of the genre, but do you actually like it?
Um, well, what was that band with that shredding guitar player? I'll think of it. Yeah, it was just all shred, like no songwriting, and no memorable things, you know. So sometimes it can get out of control. Oh, necrophagist. It was like, yeah, it's good, it's shreddy, but I don't want to listen to it more than like a couple times. whereas Chris, whereas Christian will concentrate on really good sound songwriting, you know, because their favorite band is ZZ Top. So they know what good songwriting is, and they're technical on top of that. They're really good players. And so are Revocation. Dave Davidson is he's like light years beyond like most of the guitar players out today. So I like the evolution. some is memorable and some isn't. So I guess that's the key.
But not only sound has evolved in that metal, and that's what I find very fascinating because you see all the bands from the 80s and 90s that their lyrics were focused on more evil themes, more political, or like Cannibal Corpse, which was more horror theme, horror oriented. And now we see all these very cosmical, very personal lyrics that see bands, which gets me that nowadays I feel that younger generations doesn't connect with those early death metal bands, and they even want to cancel it on social media. Like they wanted to Cannibal Corpse to get canceled last year on social
Sure.
media. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't come from like a governmental level, so that's fine. It's just a couple people on social media that are going for clickbait, which is fine. It's like, okay, we're not politically correct, but we're just really horror fiction writers, you know? As far as I'm concerned. I don't keep up with a lot of lyrical things that are coming out these days, but I am more of like, society is a failure and it needs to be wiped off and we gotta restart. And if that's probably politically correct, I would think. That's not bad.
And well, with the actual state of the world, let me say that you have now new material to get inspired to about how society is a failure, don't you think?
Oh yeah, you have plenty of material. Back in the day, it was pretty much horror movies, and now you can turn on TV and there's like three channels dedicated to murder and death and violence. So if you're running low on ideas, just turn on the TV for true crime.
That's a really sad part.
I know, right? It's like, oh, this really happened. I'll write a song about it. Like Macabre wrote a whole album about Jeffrey Dahmer. Great
Yep.
album, great concept, great idea. One of my favorite albums.
Well, you also mentioned that how at the beginning horror films were the inspiration. Do you still like horror films, and which are some of your favorites?
Oh, newer stuff.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe Terrifier. Hard to say. Midsummer, like the psychological stuff, even like Get Out and things like that, which aren't, I guess they're horror, but more psychological. I think the whole slasher film is pretty much gone. Everything slasher nowadays is just jump cuts, jump scares. Um, Insidious was okay, and Paranormal Activity, even though it was probably fake.
Okay, cool, Jack. Well, now I want to go once again back to the early 90s. And well, many back in those days, many films and TV shows adopted death metal, but more in a fun, non serious approach, even mocking some of the vocals, the guttural vocals. What did you feel about that back in the days, and which were your thoughts about that?
Um, it's kind of like the social media canceling thing. It's just somebody that uh, first listens to it, and that's their first reaction, and that's fine. We go to our shows and play, and people know what we're trying to achieve. One person going Cookie Monster. That's like whatever, dude. That was my reaction. Whatever.
And talking just about films, you were part of that Cannibal Corpse lineup that appeared on the Ace Ventura film. What do you remember? Which memories would you like to share about that production, and how did you were invited?
Yeah, Jim Carrey actually wanted the band in the film and kind of put off some filming so we could get down there and be in it. And the day before we filmed, we met him at his trailer, and he hung out with us and did some imitations and stuff. It was very cool. Of course, he wasn't a gigantic star back then, but the fact that he hung out with us and knew what we were all about was very cool.
Did you enjoy the Hollywood experience?
Yeah, it was cool to see how everything is made. The funniest part is like we would be on stage playing a song, but there's no audio, so they can do dialogue while we're playing. So we're kind of playing the song, but you can't hear it. That was the funny part.
Well, Jack, I have one last question for you. I know Just Killing for Revenge was released last year, but are you currently working on something new?
I think I have enough material for another album. I'll pick my favorites, and I'd like to have the other guys write a little bit too. So yeah, we have that, and we have concepts for a cover album. I'm not sure which we'll do first, but we're touring everywhere and then recording when we can. So we're gonna be busy.
Tell me more about the cover album because Graveyard Classics are very, very cool releases by 6 Feet Under.
Yep, they're interesting. They're hit and miss. It's like karaoke with Chris. We're concentrating on maybe one artist, which I can't really say. So
Hmm.
we're just demoing it out and making it a little heavier and different. But I think that will be farther down the line than an original album.
Cool. Well, Jack, thank you so much for talking with me. I just have one last small favor to ask you. If you
Mm-hmm.
could please send an invitation to all the people that is watching this video in Polvora, that spells Polbora, and inviting them to the 6 Feet Under show, Titans of Metal here in Mexico. I will appreciate it a lot.
What was it? Poloma?
Polvora,
Polva.
you got
Okay.
it.
Hello, all the people of Polva. This is Jack Owen from 6 Feet Under. We're inviting you to the Titan Fest with 6 Feet Under, Wasp, and Cavalera. So please come out and we'll have a good time. Thank you for the years of support.
Awesome. Jack, it was a pleasure and thank
Cool.
you very much. And I hope to meet you here in Mexico.
Yeah, Mexico City. Let's hang out.
Bye, man.
See ya.